Dear Don King, my brother, when I wrote you a week ago, so yesterday, and that sent you that video, I had no earthly idea that God was going to show up in that meeting that you invited me to the last minute. And it was in the name of Lennar Holmes and a man named Fred Rothman. These are credible people, my friend. And I want to say this, I have a whole entire plan and a workout plan for you. I'm doing this in the form of video because I don't want you like me. I know you so well, Don. We both are street kids. We came up in the streets and we make some horrible decisions when we're in business. I've seen it in your life, and I surely have seen it in mine. Yeah, you know some of my story with the big, $12 million, hostile takeover by SoftBank, and I wasn't satisfied with this, and I wasn't satisfied with this. What do we, it's amazing. I'm starting to whole work in that area with people, entrepreneurs. But here's the plan, Don. Stick with me, please. I really see this as a gift from the father of our father Abraham, eh, which is all based on the 2091 BC covenant given to Abraham by God. Peace and goodwill for all, and real estate ownership rights. I'll really see this as a sacred solution to what many would consider it as a secular business deal. And that's the problem with the church. We separate the secular and sacred, and it's all one. It's all one. I'm going to encourage you, please go to 2035worldpeace.org. We have not been connected since Henrietta left the way that we used to be. You need to see what's been going on in my life because I sure have been seeing what's been going on in yours, and I don't like it. I don't like it. This is not your legacy. And we're going to make sure that we take advantage of God showing up with these answers. And I want to encourage you to please go to 920agent.com, scroll down there. Here I had it open up. Scroll down at the bottom where I talk about the Abrahamic covenant and pragmatic answers and how it's all related to the 2091 BC covenant. I talk about how that's going to be bringing about 2035 world peace. And now you're going to be a big part of this. So let me go ahead and give you this plan. I'm calling it my foundation and inspiration has always been Micah 6:8. It has been told you, O mortal man, what is good and what the Lord requires of you, only to do justice and to love goodness and to walk humbly with your God. Now, you and I, we can preach this pretty loud and clear, but walking it is a different story, as you so have well seen in your life, and I have seen in my life. But yet I think both of us, almost like King David, we've done some pretty stupid stuff. Committing, adultery with Bathsheba and then sending her husband into the front line of battle to be killed because she was pregnant. And then he was called a man after God's own heart. See, you remember, I think you know a little bit about Henrietta did because we used to talk about it. And that was, for 35 years, I followed Christianity. I mean, I was a self-taught theologian. And then as soon as I started thinking outside the box and thinking bigger back in, the late 90s and early 2000, that, I was thrown out. So this verse here is always really spoken to me, and I just love reading in Hebrew, or the Hebrew words are so beautiful. So this plan I'm giving you, it passes what I call the 2035 world peace requirements. Number one is always got to be pragmatic. When you study 2035 world peace, if you look at my YouTube channel, I'm trying to be pragmatic. Does it fit with the potato principle? Yes, potato, the principle of enduring greatness. You know what? This was developed by Frederick the Great. And I'm sure you may not be familiar. Some people aren't. The potato principle, that where no one would take on and start using potatoes. So he took them into his own possession. He planted them and he forbid anybody to have any. And then everybody wanted them. So this is what I've been trying to do. And the way I'm doing that is before I do anything, I pause before reacting. I put this thing on pause when I was down there trying to meet, and we were meeting. You started showing me some of this stuff. That was 6 months ago. I mean, no, that was, excuse me, that was more than a year ago when it first started with the American Soccer League. And you started telling me about this thing. I went, wait, stop. What are you doing? And you started showing me some of it. You let me in about that much, but then I couldn't get to you. And poor Clarence, I must have driven him crazy, but he said the same thing. So, then that's when I reached out to Debbie and Carl, and that's why I sent that video, but not knowing where this thing was going. It's beautiful. So I've been pausing all these months, but then last week I had enough when I started reading those notes. So this passes this potato principle. I feel like that I'm overcoming my ego with this thing and with humility. I'm thinking beyond the appearances. When I wrote you that, I said, you know what? I'm going beyond these appearances. I'm gonna step in on this. I have to. And then you invited me to the meeting. Wow. Act with purpose, so all gain, not pride and selfish gain. So I'm acting with real purpose here, and you're going to see how this plan is working out. And again, I don't know. Lennar may say, I don't want to be involved with you. You sound weird, or you may say, I'm going to go get the money anyway, for I don't care what you say, because let me go down here. I'm going to show you why this is so much better if someone were to hand you a check tomorrow for $42 million. So, and then also treat everyone as essential to the mission, operate from soul level clarity, not surface level success. So it passed that test for me. I've been working on this now 6 hours. Um, uh, Focus. Even the lowliest potato, when honored, can feed a nation. That's how greatness endures. That's my philosophy. And then this whole plan is by and for 2035 world peace. And it passes the Twisdom test for me. I developed this when I was a kid. When you read 2035, um, 2035worldpeace.org, you're going to see the Twisdom clock. I want to go over here. Just click through here when you go to 2035worldpeace.org. And this Twisdom clock, this is me half my life ago. This is the Twisdom clock. And this is going to happen for me September the 29th this year, 72 years old. I developed this when I was a 23-year-old salesperson teaching other salespeople how to manage their time. And it came back into my life 3 years ago when I started saying, okay, what is my real purpose in life? I do all sorts of things. I have all kind of ministries. You know, all the way. I mean, I've done some things that's really interesting. Look up troubledwomen.com, working with women who murder their own children and out with one person for 25 years in prison. And now she's back in South Africa, totally being productive and healing other people. Um, so the other thing is, am I relying on truth and wisdom from above only? The answer is yes. James 3:16 and 17. For where jealousy and selfish ambition exist, there will be disorder and every vile practice. But the wisdom from above is pure, peaceable, gentle, open to reason, full of mercy and good fruits, and impartial and sincere. And us street kids, Don, I'm sorry, but for some reason we try to outsmart this wisdom, and it backfires and bites us every single time. But this plan I put together, it's a win-win for all. For Don, Henrietta, and the entire King family. Number one, first thing is justice. Micah 6:8. Micah 6:8. I'm gonna lean on that heavily with this, and that is that only to do justice and also to have justice. So I want justice for the evil, and evil I'm just interpreting as live spelled backwards, committed against them, you, and the sacred real estate that you once owned. Because you see, when you read 920agent.com, you're going to see how and why I consider all real estate sacred. In that you owned it free and clear, and these guys showed up. I'm going to talk about that. Again, I'm not throwing them under the bus, and I'm not going to crucify them because I really believe in this. Jesus prayed, forgive them, Father, for they know not what they do. They don't know what they do and who they committed it against. So we're going to talk about that down at the bottom. They try to crucify you, but your financial resurrection from this will be coming from them, not Lennar or getting new money, Don, and getting in deeper. Don, please listen to me, please. I've been doing this 50 years. I had multi-million dollars funds. I had 5 states of real estate going. And you saw the mess I got into with to all these banks in my hotel up in Tennessee. And then when I try to be real slick and pull it out, refinance, do this and more leverage, you know what? And then SoftBank stepped in. Who knew SoftBank was going to step in? Now, hindsight, it's a gift because it spurred me on for my bigger goals and my bigger purpose in life, more than just to make money. So please, please listen to me. That's not the answer. It's not the answer. I've got an immediate, peaceful solution for you. Stop trying to think about any money. If someone walked in you tomorrow and gave you $45 million interest free, don't do it because it won't work because that property's too jaded with your name on it now, without the Lennar name along with it. But I've got a story to tell, a story to sell, a really valuable piece of real estate once I get all the curses off of it. Don, I have a folder this thick, buddy. You don't know how many times we, you know, told people something and we didn't do it, right? I don't know if you remember, I had that whole mixed use development plan done. And wow, it was a great plan. And then that poor developer, and then D.R. Horton when I had that, and then you went with EB Builders, and it goes on and on and on. But it's okay. All meant to be, right? Hindsight. Life can only be understood backwards, but it's got to be lived forward. I understand it backwards, but we're going to live this forward. Now you have a major fan in Fred Rothman personally, and possibly Lennar Holmes. Wow, I can't get over with his conviction and heart when he was telling me again yesterday, and you could just see his eyes, about his dad and stuff. It was pretty cool. And then for him to come over there to your house and talk with you. I mean, wow, what a individual, what a man. So the possible future support for Don's love of sports, efforts, and events. And I got one of the biggest events right now regarding this property, and I'm going to show it to you, honoring Don and Henrietta King's legacy with naming rights on the sacred land. Now, I don't know, this is just a comment, um, but even if it's a plaque somewhere up there on that land, once we sell it, or, wait for the final plan. But I would just love to see something like this. And maybe one of the lanes going in there be called Don and Henrietta King Lane. Because you deserve it, my friend. You deserve it, and she deserves it, Don. I spent a lot of time with Henrietta driving all over this state looking at fishing camps and funeral homes. The one we bought the funeral home and the rehab house. I remember when we first walked in. I remember when you went up there with us after she bought it that Saturday. I don't know, you were laughing. You were like, I'm buying a drug rehab and a funeral home, mixing it together. Lennar, possess the property with all peace and no conflicts. Here's their wind I'm going to create for them with your approval. To possess that property with all peace, no conflicts, as deserved by their true values and integrity and track record. Okay. Their true and only intention is honored. They had the intention of buying this as an investment. And I really believe, they were not brought in with truth, integrity. If these guys would have told them a little bit was going on, then to have the nerve after that Friday meeting to call you on a Saturday and still play you, it is making me livid, livid. But Father, forgive them, for they know not. But they don't know who they're dealing with. I don't care how much money they have. Doesn't scare me in the least. They hustled you, and so they also hustle Lennar. Now, that's not disparaging at all, because I know I'm going to trace the money and I'm going to show you how and why. So, and then for me, absolutely an unbelievable win-win for me if you go for this and Lennar goes for this, because this mission is really interesting. You see, not only did 2006, when did I sell my apartment complex at the bankruptcy auction? When was that? 2017. So since 2017, as I was rebuilding, I carry a $5 million loss from all that. And as I was rebuilding, and just 2 years ago, again today, I'm not today, but about 2 years ago, I built up my EXP Realty team, and I had so many things going. And my own nephew made foolish, emotional business decisions, and again went way down. I have a $500,000 SBA loan that is due. But I said I'm going to commit to 2035 world peace. And when I had a really, really just committed spirit 2 years ago, I said, I'm going all in, and I'm still going to work my real estate. But wow, the results have not been there. And so this deal would put 2035 world peace where it belongs on the map. Even though I got 6,000 YouTube followers, it's not enough, and I'm just getting started. So it's definitely going to be a win for me. And Don, I'm going to say this, and I'm saying it respectfully, my friend. It's going to get me justice on this transaction. Do you know I've sold this thing three real deals, and then that one mixed use development that was in the bag. You may not recall it. And I remember Charlie would sit there, Fred, I'm sorry. You got to bear with Don. You got to bear with Don. He always comes through. He always comes through. And look, here's where we are. Dear Charlie, I love you, my friend. I just love his spirit. I miss him. The soul plan with your approval. Okay, here's the soul plan. The true value basis established by the boys, I'm going to call them, because to me, that's what they are. They're the boys, because they just haven't grown up yet with some of the stuff they're doing. Um, They valued it at 75 million. So I'm going to go with that because I'm going to come back and hold them responsible for that number. And I'm going to show you how. And Lennar's not going to want to get in litigation. And by the way, matter of fact, I don't think I added it to the plan, but I'm going to because it's only fair to them. And that is that they're not involved in anything after the fact. Assume $25 million harm and damage with just the property alone. So in other words, okay, you keep saying 75 million, you're going to go borrow 42 more million dollars and you're going to bail it out because you think it's worth 75 million. Don, you've got to listen. I've been doing real estate for 50 years. I could not step in and tell you how to manage a fight. I could not step in and tell you, no, Don, don't do that. Don't do it. No, you're wrong, Don. That's not the way you promote a fight. Can you imagine me doing that? But that's what you do to me all the time. And you've done it ever since we've known each other. I remember the Fox Chase deal when I was trying to get you not to do certain things and do certain things to protect you. Manalapan. Oh, anyway, not including what I believe that I'm going to find once I follow the money to fraud and deception. But let's say you're owed $25 million because of what's happened. Okay. If you walked away today, someone ought to hand you a check for 25 million based on their analysis. Okay. Well, let's see how we can make this work. Here we go. Number one, the property is transferred by quitclaim deed to a newly formed LLC owned and controlled by Lennar Homes 100%. Now, bear with me. This is a must for them with your age and other BK rights, etc. Fred Rothman and I spent a lot of time yesterday and getting the people from their whole team together to go, wait a minute, what, we really want to work with him. And I mean, they're doing everything to make this work. But they said, he has bankruptcy rights. He has, with his age, wow, if there's something were to happen to him, and it would go into, a fight over the estate and stuff. We can't do that. What can we do? I said, I'll figure it out. Give me just another day. I'll figure it out. So this got to happen immediately. Okay. This has got to be happening immediately. I'm going to go for, and I'm going to go for the gusto that they pay you $5 million immediately for the deed, not 2 million. Then you or a trust, I would say a trust, but it's up to you, your election will own 10% equity in the LLC with a current valuation of $50 million. So Don's basis and value equity would be another 5 million. So there's $10 million. Okay. Now you're owed 25, let's say, just stick with me. So there's $10 million is guaranteed and paid when one of the following conditions are triggered. And that is, I don't want you reading ahead. Let me block this up a little bit. Let me expand this. That's okay. All right, let's just go on. Okay, so the other 5 million, okay, when one of these are triggered, they will allow me to market the property under my trademark public pricing model for sealed bids, followed by an open cry auction to be held at the Ritz-Carlton. Better yet, if you can pull it off, Mar-a-Lago, that would put 2035 world peace on the map even much better, because we sure know Donald Trump doesn't know what peace, personal peace, getting along with people. He needs to go there and practice those 2 questions in 2 minutes a day. I have a couple contacts at Tony Robbins. I was thinking about that. Wow, wouldn't that be cool? I don't know if you've ever seen his Zoom room theater that he has, but wow, because we're going to open this up to the world, but the only people bidding are going to be those that have submitted a bona fide sealed bid. And we don't open them up until the day you, Fred, and I are sitting in a room, and we're going to open them up together. And then no one's going to know who they are other than us three. Then they're invited into this open live crime auction that I'm going to tell you about under the terms and conditions. So we want the world to witness your best ever championship battle for peace and love, and what love of both the secular and sacred in business and politics can look like. And on my 920agent.com, you're going to see how I talk about Dubai and the United Emirates, and how, despite their political views, their religious views, how they bring real estate and as a sacred trust, and they build upon real estate. Beautiful story. Read 920agent.com down below. Terms of the sale. The gavel will strike at 2:37 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on September the 29th, 2025, my 72nd birthday. I will be 72 years old at 2:38 p.m. on that day. And that wisdom clock that I did when I was 23 years old, buddy, I really believe this story is going to sell a lot of tickets. And when I say tickets, we don't care about the tickets. We want the bidders and the emotional chords that we can strike. There's people sitting on Palm Beach Island. They could write a check for $75 million without blinking. It's a spit in the wind. $100 million. If I can get three of them in there fighting over this to say, man, I'm a part of this legend, because I thought about it long and hard, and I've been praying hard. I said, man, we may hit $100 million. Wouldn't that be incredible? Wouldn't that be incredible for Don, for Lennar, for 2035 world peace? Here's the terms of the sale. A minimum acceptable bid of $40 million. We got to do that to spur activity on, to get people to step up. And they're going to want to see this public fight after the sealed bids are revealed that day. Well, of course, the people that bid will know because they're going to be invited to this. This all be in writing, part of the terms and conditions of the sale. One of the best I've ever done. Also, an outright sale or a joint venture partnership with the biggest and best of Lennar, because not only are we going to be auctioning the properties, we're going to set for an outright sale. We're going to offer it as an outright sale or come in joint venture with Lennar because of the name, right? Because they have a chance to say yes or no. And again, they need to approve all this. These are just the last 6 hours, my thoughts, my prayers, my wisdom to trying to come up with something win-win. No commission from the seller. There will be a 5% buyer's premium paid by the buyer to eXp Realty LLC. That's who I'm with. You know, we're in 24 countries. We're going to have this thing. We're in Dubai. My contacts in Dubai. I'm going to have people on there. Look, they could write a check for 200 million to say I bought it. So this is going to be a lot of fun. It's going to be my career. It's going to be your career, not Lennar's, because they Fred Rothman's though. I think he'll have a lot of fun. So I really, I mean, I'm telling you, I'm not dreaming here, my friend. I really believe something phenomenal is going to come as a result of this. There will be a market plan and budget for public pricing of LLC of $75,000 refunded at closing, which is the typical auction sale. 25% of this will come from you and 75% from Lennar. Remember, you're getting $10 million. I'm going to show you how. $5 million up front. At closing, you will see the first $5 million above all monies above Lennar's cost and expenses. Now you may be saying, wait a minute, if you're telling me I'm really entitled to 25 million, how am I going to get it? Here's how you're going to get it. Now, again, Don, they have to prove all this and they have to go through the math and they have to go through the technical part of this. So I was really debating, do I show them first or do I show you both first? And I haven't decided on that yet. I said, first, I'm going to make a video for you, then decide to send it to both of you or not at the same time. So at closing, you'll receive the first $5 million above all monies above Lennar's costs and expenses. After the $5 million payout to you at closing, you and Lennar will split the proceeds at closing, 25% to you and 75% to Lennar, because it's only fair. They get all their costs back, that other $5 million they gave you. And so let's just say if it's sold for 75 million bucks. So 25 million times 25% is another 6,250,000 to you. That means you're now at 6,250,000. Let's say that's the best we do. Well, where does the other 8,750,000 come from? It comes from these two characters. Because let me tell you something. Look, I already said, right? Forgive them. They do not what they do, but that doesn't mean they are not responsible and they have to live up to the responsibility. They're the evil ones. Again, when I say that, I'm an evil one too, because many times I live backwards. That's how you spell evil, living backwards. And also I'm practicing this. Above all, have fervent and unfailing love for one another, because love covers a multitude of sins. It overlooks kindness and unselfishly seeks the best for others. And I am seeking the best for them, but you know what? I'm going to use this as a pressure for them to get people to this auction, to register. They have a right to bid on it, right? They wrote you a contract for $75 million and pull what they pulled. Okay, we're going to now use it for them, right? What's good for the goose is good for the gander. Yeah, absolutely. So, and again, I'm not going to blast their name. I'm not going to do anything else, but they're going to step up to the plate. And if they don't, then that's when the litigation comes in. Let's say it only sells for 55 million, 60 million. You know what? Then nothing in an agreement. I wouldn't allow you to sign an agreement if you weren't able to have this as your backup plan. Let's say we only got $60 million for it at an auction, at a sealed bid auction. But Don, this story, I'm telling you, is going to sell. But let's assume the worst case scenario, $60 million at the auction, at the sealed bid, and at this big, beautiful auction we're going to plan, this event. Well, they owe it to you. And if they don't level up, I think you have, because now if litigation steps in, I mean, there's numbers have been established by them. Then the fraud, the misrepresentation, trouble, damage, you go on and on and on. And they're collectible. They're collectible for sure. I guarantee you. So that family's collectible, and they're in a whole family situation there. Again, I'm not throwing stones. Look, someone, oh, it's business. Yeah, it's business. Okay. Where's the money, Don? Where's the money, right? Let's follow the money. But anyway, that's the plan, my friend. I know this is long, but it was necessary. I don't know how I could have sat here and tried to go through this one by one without you really thinking. So watch it a second time, please. Play with these numbers. Don, I really think I'm not kidding you. I I kind of believe in a person that split a sea once, spread it wide open for people to escape to the other side. We know that story. So does Fred, right? The Red Sea, and I believe it with all my heart. And I believe all the other miracles too. So I believe there's a miracle here, and I'm so glad to be a part of it. And I thank Charlie Lomax for always saying, Fred, be patient with Don. Be patient with Don. He would tell me, just like he would lower his voice, Fred. And when I would get in there, when we were doing the deal with Tyson on my own house, remember, and he ripped out the alarm from the wall with his hand. And I said, Don doesn't listen. And another deal you screwed up. I said, Fred, be patient with Don. Be patient with Don. Oh, anyway, I love you, my friend. And you know what? It's time for Don King, to be resurrected financially with this deal. And I'm so blessed and proud and to be a part of, especially with Lennar. Wow, what a way, my 50 years. I was almost this close just a year ago to saying, I got to be done everything with the secular and just focus 100% on 2035 world peace. And that's when I think I wrote it for the first time just 6 months ago on 920 Agent about the Abrahamic covenant, how it ties to real estate. And more, I just kept hearing that whispered, no, 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 that's not going to happen. You're tied to real estate for the rest of your life. That's part of the 2035 world peace promise that you got 8 years ago when your last granddaughter was born. When you were in the pits of hell and finishing up your hell that you committed, like David, King David. It goes on and on, my friend. Let's get this. Let's please give me an answer. I'm calling you right now. I'm going to tell you the videos here. Again, private video on YouTube. No one has access if they don't have the link.